And kind of like a Gershwin or even a Copeland or someone like that who has new and old elements together. And it's much more approachable for someone who might not like the sounds of a Wagner opera or a Verdi opera. And you can understand the language.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that's really key into grabbing people that wouldn't normally listen. But I think one of the things that's really going to help the next generation of opera singers is advocacy by both the composers and the singers to get young people to want to sing. And I mean, I know it's tough because most of these things are on like the national scale, but something that a lot of
that's okay too. Yeah.
Yeah, I can think of at least 3 singers who are very, very popular right now have YouTube weblog series where they accept questions from fans about both their personal lives and their careers and technique, and like they'll take questions like how do you find the best graduate program, or how do you approach a new role, or what's your favorite flavor of ice cream, and they'll answer these things for the specific fans so that people know that they're real people too. Right. And they're not like the diva, because you can't be a diva today in the world and expect people to want to listen to you.
Yeah.
So that the incorporation of things on the internet and things in mass media is really going to be key to getting people to want to keep participating in opera. 'Cause I don't think, some people think opera is a dying art, but it definitely isn't. I hope it isn't.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Goldsmith. I'm a junior music education major at this lovely establishment.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, so Lindsay, when did you first become interested in opera, or when was it first introduced to you?
Well, in high school, I really loved musicals and things like that, and I was really interested in, had this love of Phantom of the Opera, so that was kind of like a little taste of my opera, starting to love opera. And then when I came to college, I got involved in an opera workshop and started singing arias and different things from operas, and became a lot more exposed to the opera world, and I have loved it ever since.
Nice. So what has your experience here been with the opera community? Maybe just in Durham, but maybe in the entire Seacoast. Have you had any experiences outside of the university?
I unfortunately have not had any opera experiences outside of the university. However, I have been in 4 different opera workshop productions, and I also was part of the opera outreach program that they did this past semester with Opera Workshop, where we had CSDC kids come and we performed for them, so that was really cool.
Nice. And so do you see, how important do you see that work and that outreach to the community as far as like the longevity of opera is concerned?
I definitely think that more outreach needs to happen, especially definitely the college experience that we got to do this past semester, this experience with the kindergartners was phenomenal, and I think that's something that should continue every year, and really educate the youth about opera, because I feel like there's just such a kind of a negative connotation surrounding opera. I don't want to say negative, but a snooty connotation.
Like a stereotype kind of.
Yeah, like a stereotype, and it might push people away, but I think the kids totally saw it, and a lot of the adults too that weren't really introduced to opera that much, they realized opera's fun. Opera is really fun. It's hilarious. It's really entertaining, and it's not this snooty, stuffy medium of art that everyone seems to think it might be. Mm-hmm. It's actually really fun and enjoyable. So
great. And so, are there any other steps besides kind of outreach to youth that you see are important to the continuation of opera as a medium?
I think outreach is a good place to start, but maybe just more education. Just people being more exposed to opera or something like that. Maybe making it more available to people. I feel like sometimes it's a little bit difficult to be exposed to opera because it's not it's kind of more of a select music form. I feel like most people are not exposed to it in a greater sense than just those who seek to be exposed to it. Those who want to listen to opera. It's not really out there for the general public.
It's not on the radio.
Yeah, exactly. Not the radio, not things like that. So I think just making it more educated in the in society.
Hi, I'm Will. I'm a senior vocal performance major at UNH.
Great. Will, I've got a couple questions for you about the UNH community and the Seacoast community and its involvement with opera. But first, I'd like to know how you first became interested in opera.
Well, I've kind of always had a deep connection with music, hence the music major. But opera came from doing the opera here with David and everything like that. And
so through the opera workshop, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
through opera workshop here with David. I guess that just kind of blew into a full-fledged relationship.
Nice. And so what has been your experience with the opera community while a student here?
Well, the opera community here is pretty small, I suppose. We just have the opera workshop. There's really not too much else. But, you know, I have gone down to Boston a couple times, see shows there, Boston Lyric Opera, things like that. And other things that are going on in the New England, Boston area, greater Boston area.
Have you ever been to any of the performances at like Live at the Met or in Portsmouth or in Newington?
Yeah, no, I've been to a bunch of the Live at the Met things. I've been going to those for 2 years now, pretty much since they started, because it's a really good way for people to go see Met productions, and it actually piqued my interest to actually go to the Met in New York City. Kind of gave me that boost to just go and do it while we were here at UNH. So.
And do you recall like who the audience members were, or like what demographic you can maybe place them in, if they could be placed?
It's all older folks, really. There's not too many younger people. I mean, even at the Metropolitan Opera in New York City, there's really not that many young people. Pretty much everyone, I would say, is definitely over 40. You know, there's a handful of people, obviously, under 30. But, I mean, not too much. Something that I have seen, and I don't think this is necessarily related to opera, but music in general, is ever since the Boston Symphony Orchestra got the $20 under 40 tickets, I've been seeing a lot more younger people there, but that's just because they were given a grant to do that. So,
right. And so the last question that I have for you are, in your opinion, what are the steps that need to be taken, maybe, to kind of revitalize opera as a popular form or medium, or changes within the opera community itself?
Sure.
Yeah.
Make it more accessible, make it so that people aren't so intimidated by the language barrier that can often be presented. Not necessarily by presenting things in English that are originally Italian or German or something like that, but maybe making it not so pretentious, I suppose, because opera can tend to be, the older 40-somethings that are doing pretty well, so they have time to go to the opera, have a large subscription to the Met. So if we can make it more accessible and maybe do some more public relations in the area as well, I feel like and the UNH music department as a whole could probably do more PR to begin with, because all our concerts are free. So ideally, we should be packed to the brim every single